A StarCraft strategist has the ability to combine the innovative, perceptive, and holistic insights of a build order with the pragmatic and systemic skills of a pro to guide strategic direction in the StarCraft universe. Introducing the Strategist.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2 of The Strategist. My name is OctanePro, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Buddha. Buddha, how's it going?
It's going well, man.
Excellent, excellent. So we're actually going to jump right into it here to recent StarCraft 2 news. This past weekend, we had the Home Story Cup. I only got to catch about the last half of it. I was away on vacation for the past week. But in the meantime, we actually thought we'd just kind of go over a few results that kind of surprised us from Home Story Cup before we actually jumped into our build of the week. So jumping into it, what kind of things stood out to you, Buddha?
Well, the biggest thing that stood out to me was top 8 had no Terrans in it at all, right? It was, I believe it was 5 Zergs and 3 Protoss. And Terrans are going to probably whine about this a lot. And, you know, it's going to happen. But definitely we're seeing less and less Terrans in the top of competitive play now. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a big metagame shift that we're going to find soon. Or, you know, perhaps there will be a balance patch or something like that. But Terrans not having a very good time. Although there were only 7 Terrans invited to the tournament compared to 13 and 12 for Zerg and Protoss. Yeah,
I mean, this time last year we definitely saw a strong Terran presence, MMA, MVP. Definitely, you know, kind of was the story of, you know, just like this year, which was more of like a Marine King Prime and a DRG, seeing them in every tournament in like the top 3. So everybody was talking about Terran this time last year, and since then, we've seen a ton of adjustments in the patches to Zerg and Protoss. You know, a lot to Protoss and with the upgrades, a lot to Zerg when it comes to adjustments with, you know, the Queen and a few other units. So there's a lot that's changed, and I think that's starting to reflect it in the tournament play now. As those types of things do take some time to kind of come to the surface, we're now starting to see, as you mentioned, Zerg and Protoss kind of dominating some of the tournaments a little bit right now. Not to say they're overpowered, we're not trying to say that at all, but we're just seeing a very strong presence right now. But yeah, I definitely agree. Is there anything else you noticed?
No, not really. You know, I'm definitely going to dig through those replays and find someone to pick out for some casts in the Strategist here in the near future. So should be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Just a few players that stood out. You had mentioned before the show too. Idra, Group B. We actually haven't seen a ton out of him recently over the past few months, and all of a sudden we saw him go 6-1. Do you think this was kind of the niche that he needed to push him forward, or do you think this was just a lucky chance?
You know, the lineup at Home Story Cup, in my opinion, wasn't like the strongest lineup in the world, right? MVP was there, a very strong player, of course. Trek 6 Sleep, Golden Light, Inertio, all sorts of good players, but the lineup isn't like GSL Code S or, you know, a huge MLG or anything like that. So I am a little bit surprised he did so well in his original group, but I'm not overly excited to see him do especially well in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely weren't any surprises from a few players there. We saw MVP do very well in his group, and even MC, which I think MC is starting to. I feel like MC kind of dipped down a little bit. Now he's getting back into his niche. MC
like
6-2.
Always shows up though, man. I don't know what's going on. He does really well.
Yeah, he definitely did really well there, and I think he did. He actually placed 3rd, so that's really good for him. He's starting to appear more and more in like the top 3 right now of some of the tournaments that have been coming out. Rhett's a name that's kind of been floating around a lot. He's kind of up there as well. So interested to see some of the replays that come out of Home Story Cup. And hopefully we can have some of those here in the near future in our future builds that we put together.
Indeed.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and move to the main focus of the show, which is the Protoss Forge Fast Expand. Let me go ahead and get that up for you guys here. So pretty much the Protoss Forge Fast Expand is used in PvZ. And how the Protoss Forge Fast Expand starts out is a pretty typical 9 Pylon, which most of the time that is at the bottom of your original ramp down at your natural. You then go with a 14 Forge and then a 17 Nexus, and that's kind of your standard 3-minute timing. Then it moves into your 18 Pylon again, a cannon at your ramp there, and then as necessary, depending on your scouting, then a gateway, and then you always follow up that gateway with a double gas. So that's kind of your cookie cutter Protoss Forge Fast Expand, but there are a ton of variations to this build, all depending on your scouting. And why don't we jump into a few of the keynotes there? Buddha, you can go over a few of those if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, man. So, most important part of a Forge Fast Expand is scouting after that initial pylon at 9 supply. You have to see that your opponent's not early pooling you, because in ZVP it is, you know, at least relatively popular on the Zerg side to go for an early pool. Try to catch your opponent off guard, being greedy if he doesn't scout or anything like that. Really important, and then everything's going to vary from there. So, other more important parts, due to the metagame, is to re-scout and check for a third, or if the Zerg player has any gas. And that third is going to come down between 4 minutes and 30 seconds and 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So you want to make sure it goes down. If you don't see it, you have to check the main for gas, and just to make sure you're not getting all in. Also, you have to make sentries to play safe. If you're not exactly sure what your opponent's doing, sentries can save you every single game with those force fields. Keeping units off of your cannons and PvZ, very, very important. And, yeah. What was the last one?
The last one, no, that's no problem. The last one is the variations are based on the playstyle and reactions. So, you know, the variations of the Forge Fast Expand definitely come down to, one, you know, you as a player and how your playstyle is, and then also, two, your scouting, and then how you react to it. Pretty much definitely focusing on what Buddha said there in the first three are definitely some main focuses there. And then moving on finally to some scouting notes to consider there. If it's a 4-player map, and you go ahead and scout, so you send your probe out with the first scout, and you do not find him at the first location that you scout, go for a forge first. Because by the time you find that player, the scouting will be so delayed that you could all of a sudden have 6-lings sitting in your base. So make sure that you get that forge first if you don't scout that first location. And then second there, for scouting notes, once you scout his base, you're going to check for a pull, and you're also going to check for the gas timing. If you see those, you're going to prepare for the early pressure, because you know you're going to have lings coming your way. If you do not see those, then you can go ahead safely and move into the Nexus first. Third note there, deny the hatch at the natural, and as long as possible with your probe. If necessary, go ahead and do a pylon block. You know, throw it down. Some players don't like to do it because of the waste of the minerals, but, you know, use your probe to harass as much as possible to delay that hatchery. And then finally there, between the 5 and 5:30 mark, scout again. And you're going to be looking for a third or an all-in coming your way. Anything else you can think of there, Buddha?
No, man. We've got a lot of games to go through, actually, because one of the things that we got feedback-wise was that the show wasn't quite long enough. People wanted more content. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the variations, I believe, of the build, like very common variations, just in a list form. And then we're going to go through some of them in some replays.
Yeah, definitely. Right up there, you can see right there, your common variations are a Robo All-In, which most of the time it's going to be your 3 Immortal, your Sentry, and you reinforce with a Stalker. That's one possibility off of the Forge Fast Expand. Second one is a Stargate with a 1 Void and 3 to 5 Phoenixes, depending on what you're comfortable with and what your economy is currently at that moment. Third variation is the Double Stargate, which is 3 Void Rays, Phoenix follow-up, and then into a 5-Gate. Finally, your fourth possibility you can do is the 7-Gate, 2 gas, with a Stalker, Zealot, all-in. And off of that, you can also go with a 7-Gate Blink, which is your mass Stalker, and then sometimes you can actually move into Sentries as well. And then finally, depending on your comfort level and your playstyle, you can move into a Warp Prism Expand with a Zealot Harass. And then you can finally go ahead and take your third, and sometimes use Sentries if you'd like. But there's so many variations off of the Forge Fast Expand. We're not going to be able to cover all of them in full depth, but these are just possibilities that you guys can look into, because the Forge Fast Expand is a very quick build, but the possibilities are endless depending on what you scout. So scouting is everything when it comes down to this build here. Anything else you can think of?
Sorry, go ahead.
Anything else you can think of? Go ahead.
Variation is the coolest part of a Forge Fast Expand. It's just an opening, and then you can go into so many different things stylistically. You can change up little parts, and it can make a big difference in a game. So we're going to go over a couple of examples here. Some people doing some really cool things that are a little bit out of the norm, perhaps. And, yeah, get a lot of good information here.
Okay, sounds good. Well, why don't we don't delay it anymore? Let's go ahead and jump into our first game, which is TSL Value versus TSL Revival. Let me go ahead and get that replay booted up here, and then we'll get started here at the same time.
Yeah, so this game is actually from the Korean TSL4 qualifiers. I got a few games from there, and it's actually really good to look through because these are people playing their normal games, right? Like, yeah, they're trying to cheese each other out a little bit in a tournament style in best of threes and stuff, maybe, but for the most part, these are very high level games. They know who they're going up against, and we can get a lot of information out of them just based on looking at the replays. So, are you ready to go, sir?
I am. You on times 2?
No, let's go with regular times.
Okay, sounds good. And we will start in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have the red Protoss represented by TSL Value.
And at the top right, we do have TSL's Revival, a very well-known Zerg player, spawning as the blue Zerg. And yeah, basically this game, we're going to see a 6-pool out of Revival, actually. Yep. So this game is going to be where we see Value go ahead and put down his 9 Pylon, and he is going to scout very quickly. And we're going to see exactly how he decides to react to this and what kind of position it puts him in economically in the game, army-wise in the game, all sorts of stuff based on his composition. Yeah,
I mean, this is definitely you folks will see here in just a minute here. You know, you can see why Value's a top player here, just his reaction and everything. So as Buddha had mentioned right there, you will see that there's that 9 Pylon. In the meantime, if you go ahead and look up here, we do see that the spawning pool is about 50% completed for TSL Revival. And so right away right there, you know, to us, we can see, okay, we're possibly going to see some early pressure. And we're actually going to go ahead and jump to that probe. And that probe has gone to the upper left-hand corner of the map and not seen anything right now. So he didn't find anything in the top left position, that first location, as we talked about. So you can see he's responding with that forge, as we talked about prior to the game here. And so that forge is going down, and he's going to continue his scouting.
Yeah, so one thing to note about this map is you can't spawn close third bases in the MLG form. So as you can see, Value scouted up first. Now he's going to scout cross. He's going to see those Zerglings coming down the ramp, and he's immediately going to go, uh-oh. And very quickly, reaction cancels the probe that's building and makes a pylon in his mineral line.
Yep, and you know, that's the key point here. I mean, he's not going to be able to get the cannon down at the front to stop this. So he already knows he needs to take it back to his economy. So that pylon goes ahead and finishes. You'll see a cannon go down right away. And as that cannon goes down, you will notice the lings coming directly up the ramp. And those lings don't see a cannon there, so they're not going to waste any time. They're going to go directly up into the main. And as you can see, the cannon is about 50% completed at this point.
Yeah, so Value's going to go ahead and pull all of his probes and kind of just keep those Zerglings off. Those Zerglings don't want to die. You know, you got to keep them alive so you can continue to harass, but Value doing a great job keeping those Zerglings off of the cannon as long as possible. And we can see Revival's going to be like, well, I can't do any more damage here. So he's going to back off. Cannon doesn't even lose any hit points. The gateway is on the way already. Yep. He is going to lose his Pylon and Forge out front, but, you know, Revival's 6-pooled, and that's, of course, a very all-in strategy.
Yep.
And we're gonna see what the economy looks like in just a minute here.
Yeah, so right now that forge will go down here, and you know we do have that gateway and gas, so you know he is kind of starting a little bit from behind here, as he doesn't have that available. But as of right now, you can see that pylon block has gone into effect right there at the natural for TSL Revival. So that delayed the hatch as well. So that 6-pool failed. You could say, because it wasn't completely successful. And then right there, the hatchery was delayed. We're at, what, the 4:30 mark here. So, you know, as of right now, things are looking pretty good for Value. I mean, his scouting is what saved him. And that's what we're going to emphasize again and again about Protoss Forge Fast Expand.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and pause it here around 4:45 or so. And take a look at the harvester count. Right now, we are at 12 to 19 harvesters. It's one base against one base. The Zerg is taking his natural, but with only 12 drones, Value's going to be in a very strong position to be able to hit some form of timing here. And he's taking his second gas. His core is almost done. And he's basically going to be able to hit almost a 4-gate-like timing against Revival, who is behind economically from the get-go. It's almost as if, you know, he started the game 30 seconds late or something at this point. So very, very well played by Value. And, yeah, I think that's the information we wanted to get out of this replay, Octane.
Yep, definitely. So we'll go ahead and jump out of this replay here, and then we'll go ahead and get our next one loaded up. So let me jump out of this here and jump into that next one. And in the meantime, what can we expect, I guess, out of this next game here? I know you've gone ahead and looked through it a little bit more than I have.
Yeah, this next game we're gonna see another Forge Fast Command. We're not gonna have another 6-pool because obviously people know how a 6-pool works, right? You build Zerglings and you attack and you hope it does damage. But we just wanted to show, you know, a good response on how to follow it up. The timing on everything was really crisp. He immediately saw it and immediately knew what to do, right? He even canceled a probe to get that pylon up a little bit faster. And imagine if it had been a little bit later. Definitely would have been pretty bad. But our next build here is going to be a 2-base Immortal all-in, actually. And this is something that's really strong in the metagame right now with Zerg players trying to max out on roaches. And yeah, this game is going to be... sorry, are you loaded here?
I'm loaded, and I'm ready to go when you are.
All right, let's do it. Ready?
3, 2, and 1, go. Alrighty, so starting out in the bottom left-hand corner, this actually, the in-game says fat and lazy as the player. This is actually Violet, who's representing the pink Zerg.
And at the top right, we do have Enes Hoso's son, who used to be known as Son Zenith, of course. He's actually really well known for doing very, very poorly in GSL, and then all of a sudden coming back and like doing incredibly well in a team league, getting an all kill, and then exploding into being a really solid Protoss player. And he's kind of fallen off as of recently, not in the GSL anymore. And you know, that's okay though. He is participating in these qualifiers, and we're going to see a really strong build out of him this game.
Yeah, we actually do see right there the 9 pylon going down at the appropriate timing. And then we do actually have the probe actually pushing out now for the scouting there. So we're going to watch that probe, and we're going to keep an eye on him and see what he scouts, because this is pretty standard. Last map we saw it was 4 position locations that you can spawn at. This one's only 1 or 2 per se, but only 1 location for your opponent. So right away he knows where his opponent is, so we can get that early scouting. So right now we're going to see that probe get up the ramp of Violet, get across here, and he's going to see right now, okay, the hatchery's there, and he's just kind of cruising through. And all this is to, you know, find out, okay, what's the timing of the spawning pool. He doesn't see a spawning pool at all just yet.
Yeah, and, you know, that's going to make it feel really safe.
Yep.
15 pool does go down at 2 minutes, and a 15 hatch would go down at 2 minutes and 10 to 15 seconds. So he's down to the natural. He sees it's 2:15. It's too late for a hatch to go down right away, so must be a pool up. Comes in to just double check it that there's no gas, and now Violet's going to try to deny that probe from putting a pylon down and pylon blocking, or keep the probe from doing anything for too long, but
yep.
San very, very cleanly puts one down.
Yep, and there we go. So right away, he's scouted twice already in the main. Perfect job. He's gone ahead and placed a pylon down to deny the hatch. And so he's doing a beautiful job right now of delaying the Zerg's economy, and furthermore, scouting and reacting to it. So he did see that the spawning pool was down there, so he goes ahead and takes the forge and then follows up with the Nexus. And, you know, right now, you know, that hatchery just went down, and we're at the just over the 3-minute mark. So very nice job on Violet's part.
Yeah, a couple of Zerglings are on the way. That Nexus has started as well. And take a look at Violet's Overlord placement. Very, very good. You know, he's going to put it behind the base so we can get a free scout later, basically.
Yep. And
San very smartly knows he doesn't need a cannon based on that pool timing. Waits, adds the gateway so we can start teching a little bit quicker here. Adds that cannon as the Zerglings would get there. Very good timing. And we're going to see San take double gas in just a sec, which is, you know, of course, very proper after building that gateway.
Correct. Yep. So as of right now, you know, pretty standard right now. And this is what you should really see a lot of the times out of a Protoss player versus Zerg. You know, the heavy scouting is really what allows the Protoss player to get that information necessary to react properly. And those were some of the things that we put in the keynotes at the very beginning of the show, is reacting properly to your scouting. So right now, the cannon has finished, and pretty secure right now, actually, in his base.
Yeah, so we see San hitting that 4-minute and 30-second mark. He's going to go check the third, sees it's there, and backs off. Knows that probably not any gas taken in the main. It's going to be a pretty standard game from here. Unlikely to be any form of all-in. Really headed his way. So very, very strong scouting out of San. And knowing that, he's not even going to start his first Zealot yet. He's going to use that money to chrono boost those probes out, get +1, and yeah, he's gonna slowly but surely kind of push his way up the tech tree without having to make too many defenses here.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you even take a look at your harvester count, just a second ago, he did have a 3 harvester lead there against San. So, you know, doing very well right now. He's not putting a ton of money into units or anything like that. You know, he has the ability now to sit pretty comfortably behind this nice Protoss wall that he's put together.
Yeah. So he's just adding on Pylon's macro very well, making that Zealot now. And he's probably gonna rescout with this Zealot. I'm not 100% sure, but it's very common to push a tower and make the Zerg at least a little bit nervous that possibly some form of multiple Zealots could come out here. So that Zealot is moving down to the tower. Violet's gonna see it, and yeah, we'll see if he makes a reaction with any spine crawlers or anything like that. Probably won't, but you know, every once in a while you can get a little reaction as a Zerg player. Yep.
And so right now we do see the natural of San pretty much filled up there with harvesters, and you know, he's moving now onto his 3rd, doing very well there. And if we take a look at our harvester count now, you're going to see the Zerg player is now slowly pulling ahead because he's droning up very well. I mean, he's not really seeing much out on the field for his opponent, so you know, he's comfortable droning up to get ahead farther on in the game. We just see a 3rd gas going down for Violet, and as of right now, this is where we're going to go ahead and see our 3 gateways coming out. As our right now our warp gate technology is finished up here. So this is pretty much a forge fast expand that's moving into a 4-gate kind of robo combination, which gives him, he can go all different directions now.
Yeah, so he started his robo and then started his 3rd gas because he's going to get a warp prism and not an immortal out, so he doesn't need all that much gas that quickly. But we are going to see this warp prism do a couple of things, actually. If there's a Zergling at the front of his base, which there isn't, but if there was, that warp prism would allow him to get out of his base without telling the Zerg player, I've left my base, right? So you got 2 sentries in this warp prism and a probe to add pylons on the low ground. He's making all of these gateways into warp gates, of course, and he's going to warp in around his Zealots here and really put some pressure on that 3rd. And one thing that Violet does very well that I want to point out is he spreads creep from his 3rd on this map. The attacks always come at your 3rd, and so he has it spread from his natural to his 3rd, and he's doing a great job just like pushing this creep out in the correct direction, right? Not just creep spreading, but creeping correctly.
Yeah, not something that every player does there. And these are little things that definitely separate, you know, your pro players from your amateurs. I mean, these are the little things that don't seem so much a big deal, but matter long term in the game. So we do see a warp in coming in now, and so the 3rd is getting pressured by San. More Zealots getting warped in here, and this is our first engagement going on. And the reaction here is we see 8 roaches and a handful of lings coming out on the field.
Yeah, and from here, Violet's probably going to continue to drone a little bit. For the most part, he's going to make a lot of units because he knows that if there's a 2-base timing coming, that it's going to be very, very soon. And he's probably going to send Zergling to the 3rd base of San to make sure that he's not taking a quick 3rd. But we have Immortals coming out now for San's, and it's Hoso San now. And he's got a bunch of sentries made, and these sentries are going to add to his composition by so much, keeping that Zerg army at bay. If it's 200 supply against 100, you lose, but if it's 200 supply against 100 supply and only 100 can attack from the Zerg, then you're in a much better shape there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole purpose of the sentries here, as you said there, is to kind of add that wall there that we'll see the force field method out of them, and it's extremely helpful. So right now we just see the warp prism kind of scooting around here, just kind of cleaning up creep spread, and that's a very wise choice there. You know, stopping. I mean, that creep spread of the 3rd is very massive, and right here he gets a scout here, sees massive amount of roaches that are moving across the field, so he's going to react with it there appropriately. Immortal is still getting pumped out here, and so he's going to have a nice army composition of Sentry, Zealot, Immortal, and Stalker, which is going to add quite a versatility versus those roaches.
Yeah, and, you know, against roaches, Zealots aren't going to be the best unit, but they meld very well with Sentry Immortal here, so we're probably going to see San warp in a lot of Stalkers to reinforce this here. And the supply, right now, you know, it's in Zerg's favor by quite a bit, but these force fields are really going to make a big difference here, and we're going to see exactly how they come out and are used. All right, well, this big engagement does go down here, and as we can see, all the roaches, like, can't go anywhere. They're just getting mopped up. I think San lost, like, 2 Zealots in this engagement, and, yeah, now he's just pushing onto the 3rd with Immortal's Zealot, and he's going to warp in a lot of Stalkers here to reinforce. And, you know, look at Violet's supply now. He got all those roaches caught out of position. These force fields going down beautifully between all of the spine crawlers. Immortal's dishing out so much damage here.
Yeah, I mean, right there, the key focus you have to point on here is the main focus of this army is the sentries. The sentries did the hard work here. They separated the army of the Zerg player, keeping the damage off of the stalkers, off of the Immortals, and that's what really counted. The Zealots were there for kind of backup support to take on any lings that were being pressured there. And San's doing a beautiful job just pressuring the third here, cleaning things up, and you should be able to take down this hatch, no problem.
Yeah, this is no longer a pressure build here. It looks like San has in fact trapped a ton of the drones into that third base with good force fields between the hatch and the minerals. And he's going to push up into the natural probably a little bit here. Look at all the reinforcements coming in from these pylons and warp prisms. The harvester count is now even, and supply is now even. And oh man, he's almost out of force fields, but take a look at the power of these Immortals, how quickly they burn down these roaches.
Yep, it's just a beautiful army composition here, and it was completely, you know, scouted properly. I mean, he was able to scout perfectly, see what his opponent was going through and reacting, and pretty much here, this last push here by the Zerg player, you do see him, roaches, drones, queens, all pushed into there. A lot of the energy of the sentries is kind of gone at this point, but everything's kind of a funnel effect right now. And as you said there, the Immortals are doing very well. Stalkers are moving up the ramp there. Yeah, so this is a very good game here so far. And we're only at the 13 and 40 minute mark. So, yeah, pretty impressive work done by San.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am apparently way ahead of you in this.
Nope, that's okay. Well, we can jump out of this replay here, as I think we've seen everything that we've wanted to. So in a nutshell there, Buddha, kind of summarize that game for us.
Protoss made units, Protoss attacked, Protoss won. No, he did a really good job making sure he wasn't getting all in, and then he took that and, you know, played a little bit greedy, but with scouting, so it wasn't greedy anymore, right? He was reacting properly to the lack of an all-in, and he teched up, made the Immortals, and, you know, did a little bit of pressure. He could have taken a third with the Immortal sentry count he had, but instead decided, no, I'm going to add on more gateways here so that we can really push this third in, because he's really going only roaches, and we're going to have a little bit of a timing here where our Immortals are very, very powerful against them. Yep.
No, it was a very nice job. I mean, I even run into some of that timing with TVP myself, so I definitely understand it. And it's very powerful if done properly, and you know, if you scout properly with it, it's very nice. Let me know when you have the next game up and running.
Oh yeah, I need to remember to load up the next replay while
nope, that's no problem. Sounds good. In the meantime, folks, if you guys are checking this out for the first time, make sure you check us out every week, Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here at AMoveTV. If you're checking us out on YouTube, you know, make sure you come over to twitch.tv/AMoveTV. And if you're checking us out on Twitch, live or in the VODs, make sure you check us out on YouTube. youtube.com/thestrategist.tv. We're only on episode 2, but check us out there. You can check out all of our other episodes, and we'll continue to update our YouTube channel with each episode each week. This should be uploaded tonight, so look for it for tomorrow morning.
Yep.
You all set there?
All good.
Alrighty, starting in 3, 2, and 1. And in the upper right-hand corner, we do have NRG Dime as the red Protoss player.
And at the bottom left, we do have Zictomini, who... Okay, so this game is from the ISTL. It's between NRG and Western Wolves, the old Infused team or something like that. They had a lot of drama that go down, and I'm not really sure what happened exactly, but this is from ISTL Season 2 semifinals between NRG and Western Wolves, and they... well, Zictomini is actually the guy that won the WCS qualifier for the UK.
Okay.
So he's actually a fantastic Zerg player. And, yeah, man, basically Dime is going to do a Forge Fast expand here and do actually the exact same strategy we just saw on Daybreak. And we're going to see how Zictomini kind of reacts to it and plays it a little bit differently.
Sounds good here. And we do have the red probe moving its way up here and is going to go ahead and check out the natural here. And the timing we're at about 13 supplies, so a natural wouldn't be up just yet. But he is going to get a scout up here to be able to see, you know, okay, what am I looking for here? Is it a 6 pull? Okay, it's not. So we got the first scouting here, right about the minute and 45 second. And he's most likely going to return back down to the natural here. Well, looks like he turns around and he's going to continue scouting it out, looking for that spawning pool. And right now he knows that's what his opponent's trying to do, so he's trying to block it in every way he can. So the spawning pool goes down, and we're at 2 minutes.
Yeah, pretty cute little move there. Just blocking that pool for as long as possible. And Zictomini's going to pull 2 drones, really try to deny that pylon placement from coming down and try to get a really fast, like, 16 hatchery here.
Yep.
But that pylon goes down very quickly for Dime, and he gets out of there.
So right again there, guys, we did see, you know, great work there. We did see the hatchery kind of block, or the spawning pool blocked as long as possible. It was only about a few seconds there, 3 to 4 seconds. But either way, you know, every second counts. So that was delayed there. Then he went ahead and scouted and saw that his opponent was going to go ahead and put down the hatchery. So he blocked that as much as possible. So the hatchery is taken. He's seen a hatchery. He's seen a spawning pool. Nothing super aggressive. But he has opted to go ahead with the forge here. And the forge is first. So we're going to see that. And now we're going to see the follow-up here at the 18 here with the Nexus.
Yeah, and as we can see, dropping those pylons really delayed that Nexus by a little bit here. So
yeah.
Dime really annoying his opponent, but really it's going to even out. It's not like it did all that much damage or anything like that. And we do have a cannon coming down because he knows the pool is up, and he adds the gateway right afterwards. And we are going to see him go double gas in just a second after a pylon here.
Yep, and don't worry, we will be moving into different variations, not just the 2 of the Immortal pressures here, but we will get into those here in just a little bit, so stay with us here. So we do go ahead and see the 2 gases going down for Dime, the standard follow-up there to the gateway for Protoss. And as of right now, everything looks rather standard, but what he is doing is he's scouting for a 3rd. So his probe's there, he sees the lings attacking and the drone on its way, so he knows the 3rd is incoming. So that kind of gives him an idea that he shouldn't expect super early pressure from the Zerg player, and he could sit quite comfortably right now.
Yeah, so we see his probe get away from the Zerglings. He's going to come back up here. And we're going to see exactly what he tries to find. He mineral walks through those Zerglings, gets back to the 3rd here, just a second, and sees it. And yeah, now he feels absolutely safe. So he checked. He's like, oh, there's no 3rd base. And then he's like, okay, I should just double check to make sure, because what if he's trying to fake me out here? But now he's going to know he's very safe. And yeah, we're going to see him throw down his core's actually on the high ground. It's a pretty cool spot. But
yeah, that's kind of an odd placement for the core, if you ask me, just with that, using the pylon on the low down, because if he doesn't have a pylon there later on in the game that does get damaged, all of a sudden his cybernetics core is down. But hopefully he gets a pylon there in the near future. But as of right now, we do see that Sentry just coming out now. Not really hugely necessary yet. There isn't really any pressure or anything dangerous on the field, but warp gate technology is getting researched, and in the meantime, adding to his harvester count as much as possible to keep up the Zerg player.
Yep. So his Zealot comes across the map, make sure that 3rd is still there, and he's actually just going to deny a little bit of mining time here. There is a Queen and 3 Zerglings, so Zictomini's going to have no problem holding this off, but a little bit annoying. May have to be careful with the drone to make sure it doesn't get picked off or anything like that. And now Dime feels even safer, man. He's like, oh, man, I made sure the 3rd was there.
Yep.
And then I made sure it was there again. And, yeah. So Zictomini's going to come in and check the gases at the natural. He's going to see the 3rd one get taken, know the timing on that. And he's actually going to go ahead and see the Robo come down. So he basically knows exactly what he's up against. A 1-gate Robo with sentries to start. And this could be a number of things. But Immortal All-In is definitely a possibility he has in the back of his head.
Yeah, I feel like the Immortal All-Ins become super popular in Season 7, more than what we've seen earlier. It's kind of just the development of the game right now. A lot of Protoss players going for these kind of mid-game, kind of almost all-in pushes is what we're seeing here. And as of right now, Ling's just holding map control here, pretty much just following this Zealot here, trying to wipe that out. And so we do see Immortal coming out. We see, all we see right now, army composition right now is pretty much just 3 sentries for Dime. And once again, we're seeing the Protoss player rely heavily on those sentries and the force fields that they bring to the composition.
Yeah, sentries, of course, going to be very important. First Immortal about to pop, second one on the way. We don't see a Warp Prism in this game, so he's not going to be able to do any of the harass that we saw San do in the previous game against Violet. But the 4th gas has gone down now, and we're going to see gateways get added very quickly here. And, slowly move towards that composition. So Zictomini has taken a 3rd and 4th gas here. That's going to allow him to power up a little bit more on the tech-heavy units like roaches and stuff like that. But macro patch, lair, everything looks very normal on our Zerg side as well.
Yeah, so right now, waiting for those gateways to come down. There they are now, so we do see the gateways going down here at the 850 mark. And 2 additional gateways at the moment. So pretty much, it's looking pretty strong right now. I mean, it's very Immortal Sentry heavy. But once we get these additional gates up and everything is completed here, he will be able to go ahead and warp those gateways into warp gates. And be able to add that pressure that, this build is set up for.
Yeah, one more thing here is that the sentries did come out and make sure there wasn't an overlord sitting on the left side where his third is, for a couple of reasons. One, to make Zictomini think that he might be going for a third, but 2, to clear up any overlord so it can't come in and scout that there are 6 additional gateways coming down here. So very heavy sentry count. In just a sec, we have 4 out on the map. He does have a lot of gas to be able to warp more in as soon as those gateways finish, and he's making a warp prism now. So what this is it's 3 immortals and a bunch of sentries. He's just going to use them to clear the tower real quick, and then he's going to use his warp prism to reinforce everything on the map with his 2 pylons that are currently down.
Yeah, and on top of that, too, he has gone ahead and put 2 pylons in the bottom right-hand corner for additional warp-ins. That can be used if he's focusing the main. He can warp in and hit the third, so it gives him a lot of ability there. But as you can see, he's actually taking his army and moving it down to the pylons, allowing him to warp directly into them. And right now, we're just seeing a ton of roaches on the left-hand side. And the roaches the Zerg player did have the ability to scout, so he kind of has an idea what this is. He's seeing right now there's no third, so it's a 2-base pretty much timing for a Protoss player. And right now you can see those roaches just hitting the main.
Yeah, so Zictomini saw the Immortals come out on the map, and he knew that he was going to get all in, so immediately threw down a bunch of Spine Crawlers in his main, and he's attacking the front of Dime's base, and he's going to keep Dime from reinforcing by supply blocking him over and over again, killing off his entire infrastructure, and he loses his third, which is a pretty big deal, but he's actually going to take all of his drones and move them up into his main in just a second. Look at how many Spine Crawlers we have coming down, ready for this base trade situation he's creating for himself, making roaches, and in the main of NRG Dime, his main's going to go down, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, this was just out of positioning for the armies. The timing was perfect. We saw the Protoss army move directly to the bottom right-hand corner. The Zerg army moved to the top left-hand corner and then pressured in. So literally, the timing was identical for both players for the roach pressure, or the roach push, should we say, and the pressure by the Immortal timing. But unfortunately, look at all these Spine Crawlers. We have Queens in here. The drones are now getting through to attack. And these roaches are just mopping up the field, and most likely this will be a GG here any moment by Dime, and very nice job by our Zerg player.
Yeah, so Zictomini actually saw that army come out of the base, and he knew that holding that in any position there is going to be very difficult without Spine Crawlers. So he couldn't make Spine Crawlers to his third, because his third was going to get hit first. He wasn't going to have them in time. So he chose to make them in his main, and he chose to go for that base trade, right? He knew that Protoss player was out on the map. The Protoss player didn't know where the Zerg player was, so very, very, very smart move by Zictomini, and he took that game. It was base tradey, but he took it decisively, right? He held that off very, very easily and crushed the Protoss base in the process.
Yeah, it's much harder as a Protoss player to do a base trade than the other races. Just because of how much you rely on your pylons and how much you rely on your gateways for the warp in. So it's very hard to just go all in and with your base getting attacked. And so those base trades do not work out very, very well. We're going to jump into our next match, which is actually going to be Naniwa versus Zenio. Let me know, Buddha, once you're all set and ready to go.
Sure. I am loading slowly.
Gotta love the fact that
gonna make it.
Someday
right,
Blizzard will add in joint replay reviews. Someday.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and hit play in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom, or I should say, actually not the bottom, it's more like the 3 o'clock position. We do have the blue Protoss player, Naniwa.
And at the bottom left, we do have Liquid's Zenio, and this game is going to be from a few seasons ago in GSL, on Terminus, actually, which is not a map that's in the pool anymore, but this is a great example of one way that Zenio kind of tries to counter the Forge Fast Expand in a little bit of a metagaming fashion.
Correct, yep.
All right, so, yeah, they are spawning kind of close positions. It's rotationally symmetrical, so Not going to be really close position, but they're not cross. And Naniwal's actually going to scout the wrong way to start, but he's going to be okay because he's going to go forge first. And Xenio is going to go ahead and throw his pull down at a pretty late timing. So we're going to have a relatively standard game here to start.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And you can see the pylon placement there. Very nicely allows him, to wall off as necessary versus Zerg opponent. So following that 9 there, okay, there are several different locations. He scouts first and sees that his opponent is not at the first location that he scouted at. So he's going to continue on. So that kind of lets him know, okay, I need to go with a forge first. Reason being is I don't know what my opponent's going. It could be a 6 pull. I don't know what it is. So he's going to go ahead and place down that forge here and then follow up with the Nexus once to get a little bit more scouting. So we do see that probe scouting across the bottom southern of the map, and he's kind of going to move up into the 3rd position, and now even the 4th position to locate the Zerg player.
Yeah, and Naniwal is playing the safe, scouting a second time, or with a second probe, so he can get there in time. So he knows if he needs to put a pylon down on the map. Sees no hatchery, but 15 hatch, still a little bit rare even in these cases. So he's going to come up, see the pool timing, feel pretty safe here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's going to go ahead and drop his Nexus before a cannon here.
Yeah, I mean, the hatchery wasn't even like 75% completed there by the time he did scout that. So as you said, yeah, he's very comfortable. His probe is in position to go ahead and put the Nexus down. And then most likely we'll see him follow up with, a cannon or a gateway. But he has gone ahead and actually done a pylon block. So very common, as you've seen through several of the games, actually, the last 3, we've seen this pylon block. And the pylon does finish. And so what this is going to do is this is going to delay the Zerg player from taking the hatch, so the economy is going to be behind, and then it forces the Zerg player to make additional army units, being like the Lings. So right now, just delaying it as much as possible, and all this does is allow Naniwal to get ahead in his economy.
Yeah, so Xenio makes 4 Lings, which is very standard, and one thing that's very unstandard that he did is as soon as those Lings came out and he made sure that probe had gone away, took a gas immediately and actually is making a few more drones, but he's not choosing to make a second queen here. He's going to take a 3rd hatchery, kind of let Naniwal scout it, and it's going to be really cool. I promise. I love this build.
You promise.
Promise. All right. Well, we do have Naniwal taking both of his gases in his main, very standard, of course. He's going to drop that core in just a sec, and his scout did get denied by the queen at the top of the ramp here. So Naniwal has no idea that a gas is being taken. Yep. We do have Zergling speed about to start, I think.
Possibly, if you're lucky.
Yes, there it goes.
And there it is right there. So yeah, so right now we do have the wall pretty much completed right there for Naniwal. Now granted, there is the upper ramp, the other ramp, but unfortunately there isn't a ramp that connects to it. So he's perfectly okay there. He doesn't need a wall up in more than one location. But right now that 3rd, as you said, did go down. So right now that is, quite a quick 3rd there, actually.
And Naniwal saw it, which is important, right? Xenio wanted Naniwal to see this so that Naniwal feels safer at home because he's making a lot of Zerglings and adding a baneling nest right now.
Correct.
And we are going to see a huge all-in come at Naniwal's front. Look at Xenio clear all the towers, make sure there's no vision anywhere for him to get spotted. Really smart play.
Yeah, this is a great response to his opponent, walling off there, knowing that, okay, he is taking that kind of Nexus very early as a Protoss player. So, this baneling bust is a very wise choice and will be very effective here just shortly. I mean, this game isn't very long at all.
Yeah, so we do have Naniwal moving across the map with 2 Zealots here. And it's going to be a little bit of a tell when you see how many Zerglings Xenio has. But look at this, 6 banelings already morphing on the left-hand side of the map. Already rallied to the front of Naniwal's base here. And Naniwal, without a sentry, is not playing the super safe because he thought he was okay. These Zealots are going to go to the 3rd, see there are no drones there. And these Zerglings have come out onto the map. So looks like Naniwal, seeing no drones, is going to immediately send a probe to the front, knowing that something weird could be coming. Walls off with a pylon real quick, and here come the banelings, Octane.
Yeah, this all came down to perfect scouting. This came down to, playing with your opponent, and that's what he did. He played with his opponent, Naniwal. He went ahead and actually put that hatch down. His opponent scouted it. I mean, this is definitely like high-level StarCraft 2 play. And Xenio just played off of it. I mean, we did see the force fast extend completed properly, but what came down to was scouting. And you know, he wasn't able, Manuel, to get scouting up into the main of his opponent to see exactly what he was going.
And he was playing greedy, right? That's another important thing to keep note of. Naniwal didn't make a sentry, right? He's now made one, he's now making another one, but look, he's trying to keep these units up, but he can't because he didn't have the sentries out earlier, so Xenia's going to break through here, and Naniwal's going to throw up a GG.
Yeah, and it was a great game by both players. Naniwal was just outplayed in that game in all aspects, but he did a very nice job.
All right, well, that's one way to punish a greedy player going Forge Fast Expand. And, you know, we've been seeing less sentries recently in the metagame, actually. So, it's definitely something that Protoss players are going to have to look out for again. These very fast, like, baneling all in.
Yep.
Don't seem that strong if there's a sentry out, but because there's not, it actually hits a very, very strong timing.
All right, so we're going to jump into Game 5, which this is going to be Slayer's Crank versus Lucky. And let me go ahead and get that replay up here. That's the downside about older replays. You have to log back in. It takes It takes forever. So let me find that there. Full big pressure. Loading that up now. And should be just in just a second here. In the meantime, folks, side note, check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/thestrategisttv. Every time we go live or we have any type of news regarding the show or builds or anything like that, you can check them out there. So definitely make sure that you guys do check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/thestrategisttv. Buddha, you in the game?
I am indeed.
All right, let's go ahead and press play in 3, 2, and 1.
All right, so in the top left, we do have Slayer's Crank playing as the pink Protoss player. This again being from the Korean TSL 4 qualifiers, where they have this huge replay pack.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we do have the red Zerg, being represented by Lucky. Pretty much this is a map where you can spawn in additional locations. So what we're going to see here is the Protoss player scouts his opponent first and reacts properly, or if he scouts the wrong location and then reacts to that as well. So this is all in reaction for the Forge Fast Expand. We do see the 9 Pylon going down, which is pretty typical there, and the scout is going out, and we will see if he goes in the right direction.
Yeah, so looks like he's scouting down. And again, I do want to say about Entombed Valley, the MLG and tournament versions of this map, you cannot spawn close third. So always scout vertically first and then cross, and you'll be in better shape. And it looks like they have spawned cross positions here, of course. So we're going to see this play out pretty normally again. Crank does something really cool, actually, and I'll point it out when we get there. But this is one way to take a third as a Protoss player, and it's actually my favorite way to take a third because you can get away with some pretty easy wins pretty quickly with something like this.
So we do see the Forge going down in response to not scouting his opponent at the first location that he scouted. So that Forge is going down at the normal timing there, 14. And he does scout his opponent at the second location. And he is going to try to deny that hatch because he is late, So he is getting in there. He tried to deny a little bit, and he's going to go up into the natural. He wants to scout and see where his opponent is when it comes to a spawning pool. He gets the scout in there. He sees the spawning pool isn't too far along. And believe it or not, the hatch actually was not taken for Lucky. So he's going to return right back down there and take an opportunity to deny the hatch even longer.
Yeah, Lucky actually tried to bait a Pylon out of Crank and deny Crank from getting quite as far ahead by leaving that drone down there and going for that pool very, well, earlier than the hatch, of course. So it looks like that probe is harassing over the little bit of let's gather some minerals. And Nexus goes down before cannon and another Pylon. So Crank saying, hey, I know you're not going to have Zerglings out anytime soon. I'm going to be as greedy as possible, and that is the best way to play here.
Yeah, I mean, this map is not a super small map, so, all the timing comes into play. Okay, the hatchery, the spawning pulls out. He still has to create the lings, and lings still have to get all the way across the map. So he has the ability to create that second pylon first, and then go with the cannon compared to the other way around. So just little things that you guys will notice here out of our high-level Protoss players that we are watching. The Nexus is about 50% completed for Crank, and pretty general play here. Nothing too outstanding just yet. But apparently Buddha has a surprise for us coming up here shortly.
Oh, dude, I do have a surprise for you. So we normally see 2 gases get taken right now, but instead Crank's like, no, man, I don't need no stupid gas. What am I going to use gas on, a Zealot? So instead, he delays his gas a little bit here, and we're going to see his core come down. Oh, man. Go replay. Go replay. Go.
That's right. That's right. Do I remember this one 100%?
Oh, I definitely remember this one 100%. I was so happy to see this. All right, so yes, core comes down. He makes sure he has a gap, and he's gonna rescout again. Rescouting so important. And look at this. Throws down 3 gases at the same time, so he gets a few more probes out and can really chrono boost them out to maximum potential, and then takes 3 gases to catch his gas count back up. And oh, it's just such a good variation. I really like it.
Yeah, this will definitely put him ahead further on in the game here, as this is about a 30-minute game. But in the meantime here, we do see Lucky trying to work at the 3rd rocks there. And all Crank is doing is scouting for the 3rd. He does see the 3rd just about finished. So he kind of has a general idea as to the pressure that he can expect from Lucky at this point, which is very minimal, as Lucky is generally focusing on droning up and increasing his economy at this point.
Yeah, he's really using all those chrono boosts on probes. So, you know, Crank, or Lucky can't see that, but you know, Crank really going for the economy game here, and he's going to add a pylon at the bottom to make sure he can see overlords coming in and try to deny the scout as much as possible. But +1 and warp gate are underway, as Zealot is on the way as well. And look at this, we have 2 in each gas in the main and 3 at the natural. So he's really trying to make Lucky think, oh, I'm teching so hard. But in reality, you know, he's adding 3 gateways at the back of his base, and we are going to see a +1 4 gate come out here from Crank.
Yeah, the Overlord placement is very nice, actually, by Lucky. He has one kind of between the 3rd and the natural there. And then he has one over by the natural 2 to scout for the gases. So that's all it's important. I mean, just as Buddha had said there, you know, Lucky in return is scouting to determine, okay, how many does he have on gas? How many gases actually does he have? Thinking, okay, we're going to see a lot of tech here coming out of the Protoss player. But in reality, as you said there, we're going to have a simple 4-gate +1 upgrade here. And yeah, as of right now, I mean, there isn't really a ton that Lucky knows just yet, or knows what's coming, as he hasn't scouted the back of the base just yet. But the Overlord is moving by Lucky in that direction right now.
Yeah, well, a big tell is that Lucky's searching all around for these pylons here, and he saw one go down, so he knows there's pressure on the way. And look at this, Crank's just like, look, if I throw down a bunch of pylons, you can't find all of them, so he's just going to make so many pylons that there's no way Lucky's going to find all of them. Yep. He just cancels them when they get found, and look, there's one right here next to the 3rd of Lucky where Crank's going to be able to warp in a nice round of Zealots, and he's actually got Zealots moving across the map already. Yep,
and that is located just outside of the natural. They're kind of hidden by the trees, just a tiny bit out of the way. And yeah, he's doing a great job with that probe. So right now, Lucky knows, okay, there is a 4-gate kind of pressure coming in here shortly. But, you know, he's trying to deny it, and it feels pretty comfortable right now, you know, that it is denied. But in reality, you know, these Zealots are getting in to location pretty quickly here. He is at +1. +1 is completed. And we actually see the Twilight Council is about 50% completed as well. So very heavy Zealot play right now.
Yeah, so 10 Zealots are coming into the 3rd right now, sniping that Spine Crawler so quickly. And, you know, Lucky was playing pretty greedy. He thought it was going to be like 4 Zealots. He had a Spine Crawler and a couple of things, just enough to defend. But now a lot of drones are going to go down, and this 3rd is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as of right now, I mean, taking a look at the Harvester count, it's 69 to 48 in Lucky's favor. And, yes, and Crank is definitely trying to change that at this point. And is he going to be able to get that Queen? Looks like the Queen just gets away in time. But as of right now, I mean, he can continue to add that in. And believe it or not, while this pressure is going on, Lucky 4th is just about finished up. But in reality, the 3rd is actually just starting to get mined for Crank. So Crank is actually doing rather well right now.
Yeah, taking that 3rd behind this, walling it off, doing a great job just applying pressure in the perfect fashion. He's warping in sentries now. I don't know what time in the replay you're at here, Octane, but
about 10 minutes, 10:03, 10:04.
Okay.
And so as of right now, you can notice, like, Protoss focuses, if you're a very new player, Protoss focuses a ton on walling off versus Zerg, and you can see why. It denies scouting. It also denies the early harassment or harassment at any time. And right now, I mean, Crank's been sitting pretty comfortable. Hasn't got harassed or hit at all.
Yep, so looks like he's going to add a Robo on here with that Twilight Council, and that Twilight was just to get +2 a little bit earlier here.
Yeah.
And he's actually going double upgrades here against Zerg, which is something we don't see very often, right? We see people rush to +3, but instead going for that +2, +1 on attack and armor. And his army composition is going to be so incredibly powerful. He's got, well, he doesn't have a lot of defenses, but there's not a lot Lucky can do, man. Lucky was droning up, and then he lost a bunch of his ability to be economical, and now, you know, he's kind of not forced. He's forced to drone because it's too late to hit at timing. So Crank playing this pretty well right now.
Yeah, we did notice just before that hit by Crank with the Zealots that it was about 69 to 48 in regards to the Harvester count. Right now, that gap is actually increased for Crank, and Crank's actually was just at 68 to 61. So as you said there, Lucky's just droning, trying to keep ahead, and he's also trying to maximize his army composition and his army count, but you can't do both at once. And as you can see here, Crank is definitely pulling ahead slowly but surely. And doing a great job keeping up with his warp and timings.
Yep, so basically Crank has secured his third. This game's going to go on for how many minutes? 35. So we're going to go ahead and hop out here. But as you can see, Crank very safe right now. Actually in a very strong position in this game, even though Lucky is taking a fourth. So I think we can hop out of that one and go into our last game here, okay?
Definitely. In the meantime, guys, make sure you guys do check out our email. If you want us to go over a build or you have a recommendation or a suggestion, email us, which is thestrategisttv@gmail.com. And check that out. You know, shoot us an email. You like what we're doing, you don't like, you have a suggestion, you have a build. Now, please remember, we do have a ton of builds still to go in. We're only in our second episode. And then after we get through a decent amount of cookie cutter builds, we're then going to start to build off of those builds. So keep an eye out for that. And we hope to get some emails from you guys here in the near future.
For sure. Can you check your drop frames real quick for me?
Sure. Let me just get this loaded up real quick. And this is who? Oh, how to take a third. Okay, there it is. I'm like, what am I looking at here? Yes, the drop frames are up pretty high right now, but unfortunately, if we stop it now, it will kill the replay for our upload, so we'll actually keep pressuring through it since we're just about at the end of the show here.
Okay. Are you locally recording also?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course. That's what I upload to YouTube to get the best quality. Sure. Yeah, that's what allows us to upload it into 1080, just because of the kind of the limitations with Twitch. Anyways, I do have my replay up. Do you have your replay up?
I do not.
As always, waiting on Buddha. As always.
Sorry, man. I was looking at the chat, and Oxy was like, bro. You drop frames.
Yeah.
But, yes, sorry to the live stream. This will be up on YouTube at youtube.com/thestrategisttv.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. Yeah, this actually next game is actually from TSL Hune, which actually TSL Hune won the Strategist Open that we used to actually kickstart our show. Once again, congratulations to him. Was a blowout when it came to the finals. But versus, I am ready. And I have to ask, Buddha, are you ready?
I am ready.
Alrighty.
We're so stupid.
I know. Starting the game in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we do have the red Protoss player. I am ready.
And at the top right, we do have the blue Zerg player, TSL's Hune, who won. How much money did you win through this Strategist Open?
First place was $150.
Huh? I won $150.
I know, so do I.
Should have rigged the tournament and just like, rewarded me as the winner. And
that would have been nice. That would have been nice. So right now, this map right here, kind of cross positions. There aren't additional spawns. So our Protoss player does have a general idea as to where his opponent will be. So he is going to go ahead.
A general idea. I hope he knows exactly where he is.
Very true. Very true. So he's placing down the 9 Pylon, pretty standard. And then he's going to go ahead and follow that up with a scout. So right now, what he's scouting for here, as we've said on the last 5 builds, he's scouting for the hatchery. He's scouting for this, the timing of the spawning pool. And then, of course, he's scouting again a little bit later for timing on the gas.
Yep. So, looks like we're going to have a forward fast expand against a Zerg player that's probably going to go for a relatively late pool here. Pretty standard play, Mr. Octane. And I'm sorry, we just did this 5 times.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah. We're definitely bringing you guys the extra content that you guys did request. We're bringing you some of the big players, too. You know, we're trying to offer you as much pro games as we can. So you guys can see how the pros do it. You know, get a generalization as to, you know, how you can copy some of their play to use it in your own and hopefully benefit from it. So right now, he has gone ahead and scouted up. He did see the spawning pool, so he's going to go ahead and block the hatchery. So he goes ahead with the pylon placement. This is very common to like Terran players blocking a Zerg with like a supply depot or even an engineering bay if your economy can support it. But that pylon does finish, which what that does is that will force the Zerg player to dish out additional lings, which you might not have originally, in order to take out that pylon to properly do the third. And look at that. So the third, he puts down a pylon as well. And why don't you tell us a little bit what Zerg players do sometimes when their natural is blocked?
Proxy hatch. Sometimes they like to take their third, man, because they're going to take it anyways really soon. Yep. So pretty cool by blocking that. And look at this. Okay, so this was really cool. Reddy actually canceled the pylon, so you could start his Nexus and then put another pylon down to re-block here. So yep. Really cute moves here. Zerglings come down. I'm sure Reddy's going to cancel this pylon in just a sec, probably. I really hope so.
No, he doesn't. So the pylon goes down at the natural, so this will allow Hugh now to take his natural. But he's behind. We're at the 3-minute 50 mark. He's invested a lot of money into Ling in order to work on taking down these pylons. And in the meantime, Iron Reddy's been able to go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead and put the second pylon down at the front and my cannon. Now, he most likely could have gotten his gateway by now if he didn't allow, that cannon, as you said, that pylon to complete, and he canceled it to save the money there. But regardless, his Nexus is 75% completed. His front is walled off, and so he's in quite a nice position right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say that Hyun's behind, but yeah, definitely really annoying to have to deal with, so definitely right about that. We do have the Zerglings coming up, and going around the third, actually, which is a little bit strange. Like, I don't think the Protoss player would ever have taken a third at this point, but yeah, he is double gassing at a very standard time, and yeah, bro, no gas, third base for Zerg player, very standard FFE versus 3-base play.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're at 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and look at this probe come down the left-hand side of the map. Check out that hatchery. Be like, hey, bro, I know what you're doing.
It's a suicide probe right there. Has no health whatsoever. Shield's gone. Oh, there he goes. But he did his job. Very nice job. He scouted it out. He sees, okay, my opponent's third hatchery is about 75% completed. So he knows, okay, I shouldn't expect a ton of early pressure here. So he can comfortably respond from that. And you can see his cybernetics core is about 65% completed. And I guess, are we going to see additional gateways going down here? What are we going to have?
Well, this game is going to demonstrate how to take a third base as Protoss again in a different fashion than the last game, where we saw that +1 Zealot pressure really force the Zerg to play defensively from there. And instead, we're going to see him really take it safely with Immortal Sentry and really safe robotics play. So this is something we've been seeing pretty commonly is, well, that's really good Zealot micro, actually. But he's going to make a Stalker instead of a Sentry, and he's going to use that to harass the Zerglings, take a little bit of map control, because he knows there's no gas coming out of the Zerg player. And he wants to know if there's gas, right? Like, the Zerglings have speed, he's like, oh, God, what's going on? I got to be ready for an all-in. So, really smart to make that Stalker, and then go into a Sentry, which we have right away afterwards. 4 gases going down. And, yeah, like I said, Reddy's going to take a third base here.
All right, so we do see right now, if we take a look at our harvester count at this point here, we're 46 to 38. So we do see Hyun properly droning up very heavy right now, which is pretty typical when responding to a Forge Fast expand here. And on the other side of the map here, we do see those gateways finally getting placed down here. So right now we do have that robotics bay about 50% completed, and we do have 3 gateways down right now. So nothing too crazy, nothing that stands out differently from what we've seen in a few of the previous replays that we've gone over.
Yeah. All right, so these 3 gateways are going to bring it to a total of 4 gateways with that robo, and this is kind of what we saw Son do against Violet a little bit.
Yep.
In that 2-base Immortal all-in. Looks very similar so far. The difference is going to be that I Am Ready is not going to throw down the 3 additional gates. Instead, he's going to expand and then throw down additional gateways, and he's going to make an Observer quickly instead of an Immortal, and this Observer is going to allow him, to scout his opponent if he wants to. But mostly on this map, specifically, we have 2 entrances that roaches are likely to come up, and we're going to see what that Observer does about that.
Alrighty, so the Cannon just taking out that Overlord there, and that Observer is allowing that to be seen there. So kind of get rid of that scouting, and that Observer goes directly through. He sees, okay, there's 3 gateways there. I'm going to roam around through. I do see robotics. I do see, the 2 additional gases at the natural. And that's all he needed to know. And right there, he kind of has a general understanding as to what his opponent's going here. He's doing a nice job. He's adding upgrades right now as the Zerg player and additional roaches coming out. So he knows kind of what to expect at this point.
All right. So we do have a pylon coming down for ready, and Hune is going to start powering up very quickly, adding on a lot more roaches and stuff. They kind of try to deny this third as best as possible, but an Immortal is out now, and look at this observer going into the main of Hune. Why can I not think right now? It sees that there are 4 gases taking it, sees the Roachborn, so he's going to know the composition, even though his observer already floated over it. And the second observer, there it is, comes down just outside the natural at the bottom of that ramp to see if there's an army there. So now what he can do, he can just leave his army at his third base the entire time.
Yep.
And then only move back when he needs to.
Yeah, and then he can use the force fields to his advantage, which will allow him to wall off, so he can properly reinforce. He can properly use the range of the Immortals and the Stalkers. So in the meantime, we do see a 4th being put down for Hune. So doing a great job, Hune, at this point with his economy, 68 to 55. And pretty typical right now. I mean, I Am Ready is playing it very safe. He's not pushing out or anything like that. And using his observers to his advantage in order to not overstep his army and possibly lose it here. Even there, look, you got a few cannons actually going down at the 3rd as well. Yeah,
so really good play by Hune so far. Hune actually is doing something a little bit unusual. He knows can't really break this. There's a lot of Immortals, there's a lot of sentries. Yep. Problem with his army, not very mobile. So what is he doing? Hune goes for drops, and he breaks those rocks at the front to make Ready feel, like a little bit nervous, and he's going to back his army up here. Look at all these overlords coming down.
In the meantime, we do have Blink getting researched. It will not be finished in time for the drop, and check that out. He puts the overlords off to the left, so because he most likely knows that he sees that there is an observer there, so he knows, okay, I can't load up my units directly right there, and so there's overlords in the upper left-hand corner ready to do some drops.
Yeah, and Ready's doing a great job of I like you said Ready, and then I said all right. Ready's doing a great job of really just securing his third. Like, there's no way a Zerg army is going to crush through this if he's paying enough attention, right? These force fields are going to be epic. Roaches are just going to die everywhere. But instead, Hune's like, here we go! And coming over the natural base up Ready. And he's going to drop some Zerglings down here just to, make sure that the units can't come back into his main in time. And he's going to kill all of the infrastructure here very, very quickly with this high DPS.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really, really impressive on his part. This is definitely high-level stuff, as we were talking about there. I mean, he made his Protoss player think one thing, and then he reacted another way. So the Protoss player did everything right that he should have. It was just he was outplayed by TSL Hune. And right now you can see it. I mean, look at that main. Covered in creep, covered in roaches, and TSL Hune doing a great job pressing on. His 4th is getting taken and getting harvested right now. I mean, I do not know how TSL Hune would ever take this game back.
Yeah, man, there's like no way he can really lose at this point. He's got roaches everywhere. He's killed off so much stuff already. And look, he's already completely, almost remaxed. He's got a ton of minerals left. Yep. He's got his 4th base up, like you said. He's got a macro hatch. Everything going so well for Hune. He's killed all of the infrastructure in the main. Killed off the Nexus even. Yep. And now Ready is sitting on 2 gases on 2 bases.
Yeah. I mean, right here, this is why TSL Hune won the Strategist Open.
Yeah. Really fantastic play. And, I think that's enough of this replay. I mean, I think everyone knows how this game's going to end. Hune's going to make a bunch of roaches and attack. So
I don't know. I think I'm Ready to come back.
It would be quite a miracle. But he doesn't. Spoiler alert. So, let's go ahead and hop out of that game and talk about what we saw, Octane.
Alrighty, well, what you guys definitely saw there is you did see that the Protoss player played everything out perfectly. He scouted properly at the perfect timing to know what the Zerg opponent was doing. What he didn't do is later on in the game have enough map vision to know what was going on. So he didn't scout to see, okay, where are these overlords at? You know, is drop getting researched, whatnot. But he did a great job. He blocked off properly. He followed up properly. His Nexus timings were correct. His third was perfectly defended, and his natural was defended. So he did a great job there of blocking everything in every direction there. It's just that he was outplayed in that one game. So once again, you know, I can't emphasize more scouting, scouting, and more scouting. You know, if there's anything that we want you guys to learn as Protoss players, and with the Forge Fast Expand, it's scouting. The more you scout, the more beneficial it is to you. Yeah, definitely. Anything else that you noticed about that game?
About that game in particular, no. But, you know, just to delve into the history a little bit of the Forge Fast Expand, it was developed in Brood War as a way for players to really take an economic advantage back from Zerg players that were going kind of hatch first or whatever.
Yep.
And people found a way to make it work in StarCraft 2, especially with Sentries. Makes it so much more powerful. You know, the idea is to maximize your economy, make minimal defenses, and then be able to really do one of three things, right? You can tech on it, you can power up on it, and, you know, go for a huge all-in,
yeah,
or you can take a third with it. So the Zerg player has to be scouting all the time, and you really have a lot of flexibility with an FFE.
Yeah, definitely. So very nice job there. We didn't really get a ton into the countering aspect of it, and the scouting, but the best thing you can do, which most Zerg players are pretty good at, is utilizing their overlords to scout. And that's what we saw in a lot, like right there, TSL Value. He scouted properly with his overlords. He saw what his opponent was doing. So, I mean, right away, most of the time with that first drone, you see the pylon placement, and then with that overlord, you can scout it. So the most we can utilize there on the opposite side as the Zerg player is to scout. Scout as much as you can to find out the timing of the Protoss player's third, and even prior to that, scouting, you know, what type of power or tech option that the Protoss player is going with, and that will allow you to counter this properly. And then that'll, as you can see there, TSL Value did a great job just with scouting.
Yeah, the most generic way to kind of respond to this build is, of course, to take your third at 4:30 to 5:30, very, very quickly, go gasless for a long time, and really start taking your gases, you know, anywhere between 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, anywhere in there, depending on what you want to do with it. So, yeah, that was a pretty long episode. What do you think about that length there, Octane?
I think that length is perfect, if not a little bit over, so we'll try to see what our audience thinks when we get some responses with that on YouTube. And see if we get any Twitter responses there. Is it too long? Is it too short? Too many replays? Let us know. We definitely would love to hear from you guys on it. We're going to keep on bringing you as much content as we can, as long as you guys give us feedback. If you don't give us feedback, then we can't really alter the show for you guys.
Yeah, then it's your fault. That is not our fault. It's your fault.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching us. I want to direct you guys to the screen right now. You can see right there where to catch us live. You're watching this on YouTube, twitch.tv/amovetv. That is every Sunday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, once again, if you're watching us on Twitch, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/thestrategisttv. You can check out all of our episodes there in chronological order. So definitely check that out. And then finally, as we talked about earlier in the show, email us feedback, comments, suggestions, complaints, or if you have a build that you want us to go over, or a replay that you want us to kind of break down in regards to when we add it to one of our build lists, email it to us, thestrategisttv@gmail.com. Yeah, I think we're pretty good from there, Buddha.
Yeah, make sure you guys check us out on Twitter too, of course, twitter.com/thestrategisttv. Just like everything else we have, everything's the Strategist TV to make it really easy.
Yep.
So definitely make sure you guys come back next week. Because Octane, go ahead.
Catch the Strategist next week on July 15th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, where we go over the Terran 1-Rax Fast Expand.
Indeed. So remember, guys, practice hard, win easy.